Hello, my dear students. Warm welcome to all of you. We are with physics now. Okay, we'll be talking very seriously about physics now. Okay, myself is Dr. Shobboshachi Shen. I'll be offering you the physics courses, course objective, course outcome. You can see on the screen, and we are in outcome-based education. So every course is mapped with what is its probable outcomes, which I have illustrated later on. Now there are five modules. Now we'll be adapting one by one to each module and explore the world of physics. Now let us explore what is the topic of the day. You should keep one thing in mind, that whatever we teach in these classes, each video lecture is basically a building block of your future engineering courses. Each class is going to give you some fundamentals, some new concept. And if you add all those concepts at the end of the semester, you will get the correct path of entering into your own engineering curriculum, because all your curriculum are essentially the application of physics. Engineering means physics applications. So let us explore it a bit more.
Hello, students.
Hello,
Good
students.
morning to
Very good
all of
morning
you.
to all of you.
Uh,
Welcome.
uh,
Uh, uh,
Welcome
Welcome
back
back
to
to
my
my
class.
class on
Uh,
uh, and welcome back to my class on physics 2. Uh, Sorry, I should say physics 1. Let us start it. Hello, how are you, my dear students? Very good morning and warm welcome to my class. It has been a fascinating journey so far. We have we're in the 35th class now. We started with quantum ideas. There was a physics of smaller particles. Then we moved into a bit of modern optics, lasers, optical fibers, and now we are dealing purely with the classical optics. Now, what does it mean by classical optics? It is basically the phenomena of interference, the phenomena of diffraction. And last 2 days, we have actually focused on talking, on learning about the concept of diffraction of light.
And I told you, in a sense, we talk about light, but it is specifically the visible spectrum of the electromagnetic waves we are talking about. In diffraction, we initially talked about diffraction with a single slit. After that, we moved into diffraction with double slit. And by this time, diffraction means bending of light. If light waves get bent around the edge of an obstacle or an aperture, if the width of the obstacle or the size of the aperture is close to the wavelength of that particular radiation, then light wave do bend. Okay, does bend actually, I should say, at the end of the aperture, at the edge of the aperture obstacle. So this is connected with intensity redistribution, or we get a diffraction pattern. We get something with you see intensity distribution with a single slit. When you use two slits, the interference effects comes into action. Now today we'll move from one to two to many slits today. So we'll talk about a multiple slit system, which is also calculating. So the objective of the class is to talk about diffraction in multiple slits. An outcome is that after you'll be actually whatever we discuss, you'll be able to explain the intensity distribution that we see with diffraction grating in physics laboratory. And diffraction grating has got tremendous application in a variety of optoelectronic devices, particularly even in the image processing sector, also it is used. And nowadays also we are at the atomic level also we are trying to develop grating, that Davidson Jammer experiment you studied already, that is an application of achieving this same phenomena of diffraction grating at the atomic level. At the nano level also people are now getting it. So it has got a long-standing applications, long-standing implications. So if you address this problem properly, many things will be unfolded, not only related to the optics, and related to the physical sciences, okay, in general. So now let us get into the business in more detail. This is obviously the 35th class. I don't have to mention all these things. This is me. Okay, I'm available to you anytime, anywhere in those numbers. And this is, I'll remind you that we are talking about electromagnetic wave, and bilight means it's a part of this entire electromagnetic spectrum. And these are some of the common sense. Will every day I'll mention in front of you the basic concepts of path difference. If it is whatever with the path difference, if you multiply with 2 pi by lambda, it is connected with phase difference. Because we talk about interference so often, so for that purpose, phase difference is an issue because coherence in the superposition of coherent beams lead to interference. Okay. So each and every step, whether what is the phase difference between the waves, if it is maintained properly, then we get the coherent beams. If they superposes, we get intensity distribution. All these are related issues. So that's why time and again, getting the path difference between the superposing waves and calculation of the corresponding phase difference is an issue, which you have also noticed in the studies of the single slit and double slit diffraction. Okay, you have seen it. So now let us move forward a bit. This is all about the studies of diffraction. These are known to you. I have already discussed it. I have presented all these issues in front of you. How you can exploit or utilize the idea of diffraction. Okay. Now let us concentrate a bit more deep details into this multiple state diffraction. If you look at the picture, I have brought in a lens there because I have to create an image on the screen. The screen is at the focal plane of the image, and you can see parallel waves coming in. I have already used another slit to keep the source at the infinity so that I get the parallel waves. So as if the source is at infinity. A is the aperture width, B is the width of the apex phase I mentioned, B A plus equal to A plus B is the grating element. Okay. So all the waves are now meeting at the point O prime, and this is basically will result in central maxima. But we are more concerned, we are more interested about the diffracted one. So now you get the diffracted beam. You see all diffracted beams are now produced. So they are actually meeting. You see diffracted means the bent beams. Okay, these are the diffracted beams. So all the beams are bent by some angle. All of you can see. So it is bent by some angle, say theta. So these beams are actually bent, okay, by some angle, say theta. So diffraction is taking place. So basically, these are all the diffracted beams. Okay, they are actually moving towards the point P, and you can see they are reaching the point P differently because they are coming from different levels. Okay, the idea is that every point on this leads us Huygens principle secondary wave sources. So every point, okay, the light is coming, but the one which is coming from which has been bent at the edge of the obstacle, all of them are meeting at the point P, and that they will make a distribution in intensity, okay, because they reach there separately, the intensity will vary, okay. So our next job is to calculate this intensity distribution, okay. We now calculate this distribution in intensity, okay. What happens? You can see this intensity distribution will be plotting, and you can see the angle theta there. Okay, the theta is the angle of diffraction, and let us consider there are n number of slits up there. Okay, n number of slits are there. So what is the effective contribution of them for the n number of slits that we wish to calculate? Okay, so let us calculate the effective contribution of the n number of slits. Okay, on the final intensity. So it will be very systematic. I'll remind you what you did with one slit, what you did with two slits, and what you are going to do with many slits. This is what you do with one slit. If you just remember, initially we consider the displacement due to waves per unit length, because every point in that single slit was a source of by secondary wave source. Okay, so it was like a pi, a sine 2 pi t by t. Now two waves comes in. If there is, then more waves comes in. The main problem will be the phase difference between the waves super coming meeting at the point P. So this is per unit length. Now if the slit is, if there are, you can say it is the equation a sine 2 pi t by t. So if I define a width of dy, then this equation was becoming like, okay, per unit length is this much. So if I for all over the points to define a length dy there, and then it is basically one dy will be coming here. Okay, k dy sine of 2 pi t by t minus phase difference. Okay, so now basically that phase difference was calculated in that class. Okay, when I was talking about single slit. Okay, it is 2 pi by lambda r minus y sine theta. Basically this was the point P. So at the point P, this they are reaching, this is one of the wave, okay, traversing a distance r, the other one is traversing a distance r prime. The phase difference was r minus y sine theta. Okay, there is a path difference, and phase difference is 2 pi by lambda r minus y sine theta. So this was actually initially put in that expression of single slit diffraction. So it was like k dy sine of t by t minus r minus y sine theta by lambda. So this was ultimately we utilized it to calculate the intensity due to all the points there between minus d by dt plus d by 2. So it was integrated, and we achieved the expression of the intensity there. So after that we moved from two slits, one slit to two slits. In case of a double slit, what happens? It is contributed by both the slits, but other stories are remaining same. So we have to do two integrations. Okay, minus a by 2 to plus a by 2 dz1, and another is how you can look at the picture. You will realize minus a by 2 to plus a by 2. This is basically, if you look here, suppose we are taking the contributions. Okay, this is basically minus a by 2 to plus a by 2. So when you consider it, it is basically this becomes, okay, d minus a by 2, this point, and d plus a by 2, because this much of length is d. Okay, that is a contribution of the slit number 2. So if this is coming from slit 1, the second contribution is coming from the slit 2. Point is that now we are moving into n slits. I hope you realize if n slits are there, so there will be n number of such contribution, and you have to add them up. Okay, and this is the equation as it looks like. You can see there. Okay, it is that again a sine of 2 pi by dy is there already. So there will be two different limits of interest. Now point is that here earlier we were happy with two slits. Now more terms will be added. We talk about the n slits. You can see here, if I consider the slits numbers are like 1, 2, 3, like this much, 1, 2, 3, and so to n. And so net value, net displacement at j will be contribution of dz1. Suppose this is corresponding to the slit 1. dz2 maybe this will be corresponding to the slit 2. So earlier in up to second slit, where two slits were happy up to these two. Now the third slit will come because n number of slits are there. This is coming from the third slit as I have shown here. This is slit 1. This is from slit 2, and this was slit 3, and there are n slits suppose. So basically in this way, we have to, if we add, keep on adding, so I have to go up to n slits. So all this contribution should be, this is for the n slits. So all this will be added up to produce a final intensity at the point P. So I have to now tell you how do we add it. Okay. How do we add it? That is our main objective of discussion. You can see they will be all added up. Okay. You can see here, if you look at this is coming from maybe one of the slits, minus a by 2 to plus a by 2. So this one, if you look at the picture, minus a by 2 to plus a by 2 is this term, the first term. It is written here. Next is d minus a by 2 to d plus a by 2. That means the second term. And up to in this, if you go on, this is the nth term. Okay. Actually, second one, third one will be actually 2i's d minus a by 2. You can see here. This is the third one's contribution. And in this way, it will go on up to the nth term. So if you look at the expression, it looks like this much. Okay. Please see, try to realize it. It is wonderfully shown there on the screen from slit 1, that is minus a by 2 to plus a by 2, and the term you integrate is same. Okay, only limits are changing. Next is obviously plus d minus a by 2 to d plus a by 2. Next is plus d more. So you are in the third slit, there is 2d. When in the fourth slit, there is 3d, like that, one less. So that means when you are in the nth slit, there is n minus 1 d minus a by 2 to n minus 1 d plus a by 2. So now this will be all added up. So our next job is to do this addition a bit. So let us do it very systematically. We'll do. So let us do the calculation. Okay. Let us make the calculations. So let us focus on intensity distribution in multiple slits. You can see there the one I was talking about. This is coming from the one of the slits, slit 1. D minus a by 2 to d plus a by 2. This is coming from the next slit, slit 2. This is coming from the slit 3. And if I move up to the nth slit, this one is coming from the slit n, because n number of slits are there. Okay. So I have to now do a bit of integration. All the signs will become cosine. So the next part of the job is the same thing happens in the normal interference, the single slit and double slit also. So basically, your expression is now becoming like this much. You see, because of integration, I get this. This is coming out. Okay, lambda sine theta by 2 pi, and these are all cost term. Okay, so similar results I am getting because it is a differentiation integration over y. The coefficients of y are coming out, and there is a 2 pi. So basically, from each term I get it. Okay, this is from again from the slit 1. This term is coming from slit 2. This is coming from slit 3. There are so many other slits, and this is coming from the slit n. Now I have to put the limits. If you put the limits, my minus a by 2 to plus a by 2 in the first case, d minus a by 2 to d plus a by 2 second case, 2d minus a by 2 to 2d plus a by 2 third case, and like this, n minus 1 to n plus minus 1 d plus a by 2 in the nth case. If I do it, if I put the plot, you can realize basically the one is going to suffer is this y. This is going to change. Okay, this is replaced by this. Okay, so if I replace it, obviously I get two terms. Okay, so if I replace it, you can see one. This in this case y is a plus 2, and in this the other case a minus a by 2. And in the second case, y is d plus a by 2. So this is one of the contribution, and this is a plus 2. And the other one is d minus a by 2. So that is also coming. And in this way, in the last case, if you go to the nth case, n minus 1, and this is an a plus d by 2. Okay, n minus 1. There will be d. Okay, d sine theta, n minus 1 d sine theta by lambda, and 1 minus sign will come. Okay, so this is the way it is calculated. Now you can see I've got cos a minus cos b going on. These are all cos a minus cos b kind of thing. Here also it is cos a minus cos b kind of thing. Here also cos a minus cos b kind of thing. So basically I can apply cos a minus b formula. So I'm doing flat pure mathematics for you. If you look at the cos a minus cos b formula, this is the expression of cos a minus cos b minus of 2 sine a plus b by 2 into sine a minus b by 2. So this has been applied here. See, if I applied it, first term will give you minus of 2 sine of 2 pi. You see this is a minus b. Okay, so this is the one in red is a, and this is minus b. So this is a, this is plus b. Okay, and 2's are there. Okay, below that there are 2's are there. Okay, divided by 2. Now in this case also same thing is coming. This entire quantity is divided by 2. This entire quantity is divided by 2. This is also divided by 2. This entire quantity is also divided by 2. So there are a lot of expressions are lying there, as you can see. So if I move forward to the next level, let me make it more cleaner a bit. So basically, if I use that formula, then it is like k lambda by k lambda sine theta was already there. Okay, and 2 pi was also there. So there is, I get that twice coming out now. Minus sign is there, sine 2 pi. You can see these 2's are there from the formula a minus b by 2 and a plus b by 2, and 2a sine theta by 2 lambda, because you can see in this page many things will cancel. This will cancel. Okay, so basically a by 2 means a sine theta by 2 lambda, a twice a sine theta by 2 lambda. In this case, what would happen? These two will cancel. Okay, a by 2 sine theta 2 lambda minus a by 2 sine. So basically this will be twice of t by 2 minus twice of r by lambda. In this case, this will be cancelling. I will be happy with this will be also cancelling. So basically only a sine theta by 2 lambda. It will be twice divided by 2. But in this case, you can see again this will be cancelled. So this will be twice rest of the term. In the last case also, you can see this will be cancelling with each other. Okay. So basically I will be happy with a sine theta by 2 lambda. And in this case, a sine theta by 2 lambda will cancel, and remaining terms will be twice. Okay, like that. So that is basically what you see here on the much better and cleaner way on the screen here. You can see here it is sine of twice a sine theta by lambda. There was 2 cancels, and because of that formula sine a minus b by 2 and a plus b by 2, these 2's are there. Okay. So here also same thing is coming. These two will cancel, and 2 pi is there, and this is divided by 2. So all these 2's will cancel. There also 2's will cancel. Here it is like this and divided by 2. So you can realize, okay, that so many things are changing. So here I get a term a sine theta by 2 lambda, but you see again these 2 and this 2 will actually cancel. This 2 and this 2 will cancel. These 2 and this 2 will cancel like this. Okay, these are going to cancel each other. Okay, these are cancelling each other. So therefore, we can now write down in this way. You can see here it is like k lambda pi sine theta was there. I multiplied with a in the numerator and the denominator, so that I can define this quantity pi a sine theta by lambda as something like say alpha, because these things are coming here also. This is also alpha, and this is 2 pi t minus t, and you can see here this is also alpha. So these sine alphas can be taken common, and this is also alpha. So basically you can get the sine alphas out, and this quantity is nothing but, you can always write down this in this way. This is Ka pi a sine theta by lambda. Now this quantity is nothing but alpha, okay, 1 by alpha. So basically you are making it Ki by alpha, and sine alpha is getting common. So you get a term like K sine alpha by alpha, as you can see it on this paper. Okay, this is 1 by alpha. This is sine alpha. Okay, sine alpha is taken out and taken common. Okay, so you are getting this much. Now it is sine of 2 pi t by 2 minus r by lambda. Next term is this much, 1 plus d sine theta by lambda is added up. And in this way, from the nth term, this term is being added up. So we get a series in the sinusoidal term. Okay, like this quantity plus a quantity, and this is actually rising. Okay, next term was like 2d sine theta, 3d, like that. Now for the nth one, n minus 1d. So we get a series summation in the series of expansion of this sinusoidal series. So again, it is like this one. If you make it in a proper and linear way, sine alpha by alpha, and this is your you get we make a series here. Okay, so make it a simple way. Consider this. You see, sine 2 pi is there, t minus r by lambda. This quantity you may call is at x. So basically, next term would be equal to 2 pi d sine theta by lambda. You can realize if you multiply with 2 pi t minus t by t minus r by lambda is x. Now next term is 2 pi d sine theta by lambda, you call it m. Okay, I call it n. So now this expansion, this sinusoidal series, can therefore be written as like this way. You see, it is like sine of x plus pm. Okay, it is being summed over m equal to 0 to p equal to n. M0 means first term, M1 means basically the second term. Okay, because M is 2 pi d sine theta by lambda, M2 means the third term, like that, and obviously small n has to be equal to n minus 1. So this is what is written here. So I get a series summation, sinusoidal sum. So the sinusoidal sum can be utilized now to make the equation further easier. So this is K sine alpha by alpha, as you can see on the screen, and this is your sinusoidal expansion. So basically, this sinusoidal expansion is this can be expressed in this form: sine of x plus nm by 2 into sine of n plus 1 by 2 into m divided by sine m by 2. So if I utilize this idea here, sine n plus 1 by 2m is nothing but, what is small n? Small n is nothing but capital N minus 1, the number of rulings integrating. So we can write down this expression capital N minus 1 plus 1 by 2. So it is sine n by 2. And a means, if you look at the expression, we earlier called pi d sine theta by lambda as the beta when I was talking about the double slit diffraction. So m is basically, you can see twice of beta. So if you put the value of m here, you can get 2 to cancel. So this quantity is becoming like n beta. Okay, so this is like sine of n beta. This is like 2 beta. 2 beta by 2 means sine beta. Here also this is like 2 beta. Okay, this is n minus 1. So if you look at the expression, it will take a form like this. K sine alpha by alpha unchanged. Okay, this is 2 beta divided by 2, so it will be sine n beta, and this is already sine capital N beta, and this is sine beta. So this is sine x, you see 2 2 will cancel, n beta, and sine capital N beta by sine beta. So if you look at the expression, we can now write down x in its form. X was like t by t minus r by lambda. So it is written in that way. So multiplies with 2 pi. So this is x plus capital N means small n minus 1, and beta means pi dy sin theta lambda. So it is already there, and the sin n beta by beta is taken to the other side. So you see, this term is basically the new amplitude a theta, and this is basically the phase term because small t etc. is there. So under the multiple slit diffraction, so therefore your new expression of the displacement J is therefore this much. You can see here k sin alpha by alpha sin beta by beta. So this is the new amplitude and this is the new phase term. Okay. Now intensity can be achieved at any point p, the amplitude square. This k square is square sin square by alpha square sin square n beta by sin square beta. You can see this is basically the central maxima. This is basically the single slit term, and this is something unique. This is coming because of the n number of slits, n slits term, like last term. So if you now progress a bit, we can now write down in this way that we can identify each term in a proper way, which I have already wonderfully written here. As you can see, that this term is basically maximum intensity, and alpha 0 beta 0. Alpha means pi a sin theta by lambda, and beta means pi d sin theta by lambda. So basically alpha 0, that means theta is 0 at that time. No diffraction is there. Okay, no diffraction. If no diffraction is there, we get the central maxima. And when you make alpha 0 beta 0, so these are 1 by L'Hospital's rule. Okay, and this is the interference term, as I mentioned. Now let us see how these values of alphas and betas actually control the intensity distribution pattern. So if you look at the expression here of I is equal to I0 sin square alpha by alpha square, you'll realize that intensity will be maximum when this quantity is the sin beta. This term is going to be this will max. Okay, this will be 1. Okay, so that gives me sin beta equal to 0, beta equal to plus minus n pi. Now plus n means 0 1 2 3 etc. Now this becomes a limiting problem, this beta equal to plus minus n pi, because denominator is like this. So basically this expression, therefore, if you only consider sin n beta by sin beta, if we put the limit, okay, it is ddb sine n beta by ddb sine beta. If you go for the maximum condition, n is coming, so sine is becoming cos, and this is cos beta. So basically, okay, for the limit beta is equal to plus minus n pi, you see, you can realize it is cos of n pi beta, okay, but divided by cos beta. So it will reduce to plus minus n, okay. See, because n equal to 1, if you put the value, okay, it is like cos of n pi beta by cos beta, which will be effectively going to give you, okay, because this can be both plus and minus, okay. So basically this becomes plus minus n. So if I look at this expression, so therefore this term becomes like I0, this is basically becoming like, because I just told you when beta goes to plus minus n pi, okay, sine n beta by sine beta, it is going to plus minus n. If I utilize this idea, it is a square quantity, so it gives you n square. These maxima are more intense therefore, and it is proportional to, say, in the multiple state, it is proportional to the order of the principal maxima. So when you move into higher order, we expect it is growing with n, so we expect higher intensity will be obtained in case of multiple state diffraction, okay. Now let us consider the nth order principal maxima, okay. So beta is equal to plus minus n pi. So if I put the value of beta pi d sine theta by lambda plus minus n pi, okay, so n is a number 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So d sine theta pi is cancelled, is equal to plus minus n lambda. D is a plus b, the grating element. So this is called the equation of the grating, okay, of the getting the constructive maxima, okay, or constructive or maxima, principal maxima. This is the grating equation, which is time and again used, where n is 0 means, okay, theta n will be equal to 0th order principal central maxima, that is a bright central maxima. Or n equal to 1, 2, 3, etc., we get the first, second, third order maxima, okay, or n equal to 1, 2, 3. Now let us move into the, so that means if you look at the intensity distribution pattern, okay, you can see, say for n equal to 0, we get the central maxima, but apart from that also we will get it, okay. For n equal to 1, n equal to 2, we are going to get it, okay. These are the maxima, principal maxima. Now let us consider the secondary maxima and minima. Now first, the case of minimum. Besides the principal maxima, there are very large number of secondary maxima or minima will be there because multiple state diffraction is going on. Now secondary minimum condition is that in this expression of I is equal to I0 sine square alpha by alpha square sine square n beta by sine square beta, okay. The minimum means sine term has to be, this has to go to 0. So that makes n beta equal to plus minus p pi. P is a number, okay, 1, 2, 3, etc. So this gives me beta. If you put the value n pi d sine theta by lambda plus minus p pi, d sine theta equal to p plus minus p by n lambda. So this is a condition for the minimum. If p is 0, p cannot be, okay. It should not choose these values, okay, because p0 n 2n will respond to the second principal maxima. We are now considering about the secondary minimum, okay, so we have to choose other values of n p. So if you look at this expression, p should be either 0 or should be other than these values, okay. It may be 1, 2, 3 up to n minus 1. Hence there are at least n minus 1 secondary minimum will be there, okay, in between two principal maxima, okay. So that means if this is your diffraction pattern, these are the two principal maxima. In between, okay, there will be, if whatever be the order, okay, and you'll get n minus 1 secondary minimum, okay, in between. Now let us move forward to the secondary maximum, okay. Now maxima will obtain if n number of 1 secondary minima are there between two principal maxima. So obviously n minus 2 number of maximas will be there, okay. So how do you get the maxima? You get the intensity, that is di dv0. So if you put the values, okay, this is dTp of the differentiations will give you two terms. One is 2 sine n beta, another is differentiation of that n cos n beta divided by sine square beta, and the other term that we are going to get is this one. You see obviously 2 sine square n beta, okay, cos beta by cos cube beta, okay, because sines by sine cube beta, because this will be twice coming with a minus sign, and it will be sine cube remaining at same, and sine beta is becoming cos beta, that is also written there. Now you can now write down another thing. You see, di dt is 0, so this entire expression is 0 because of the secondary maxima. So 0 means if we consider only the inside the term inside this green bracket, n cos n beta sine beta minus sine n beta cos beta. So this gives me this sine, cos and sine, okay. Sine and by cos will make it be 10 in tan beta, okay, and sine by cos is also 10 n beta, okay. Actually sine by cos, this goes to the other side, you get this tan beta, n was there, and the sine beta, if it goes to the other side, divided by cos n beta gives you tan n beta. Now roots of these equations are other than beta plus minus n pi, and it corresponds to the secondary maxima, okay. Beta plus minus n pi are constitutive to the principal maxima. So to get the roots of the equation will be more mathematical. So what we do, this is the equation as you can see. So we consider a triangle, right angle triangle, this is n beta, n tan beta. So this will be 1 plus 1 here on the screen, that we wanted to calculate the case of the secondary maxima, sine square n beta by sine square beta is my condition. We have made a triangle with n beta and tan n beta as the two axis. So basically this is 1 plus n square tan square beta, and you can realize and you can see here wonderfully that sine n beta is therefore n tan beta, this by this divided by this, and if it is divided by sine square beta, then it looks like this one, n square, it is squared, so n square tan square beta by 1 plus n square tan square beta sine square beta. Next line is very simple, we have to do a bit of more mathematical manipulation. If you do that mathematical manipulation, that is, you can see it is n square tan square beta, the expression is repeated here, n square here, if you divide by, bring the tan square beta in the denominator, so this is sine square beta tan square beta means denominator means sine square beta cos square beta, so these two will cancel each other, cos square beta is there, so if you get it inside, this is cos square beta when it is multiplied here, and you see tan square beta means sine square beta by cos square beta. So basically you are happy with n square sine square beta. Now cos square beta is nothing but 1 minus sine square beta, n square sine square beta. So obviously you can write down in it that n square is there in the numerator, sine square beta, this is flowing this 1 plus sine square beta taken common, n square minus 1 sine square beta, okay. So this is the expression, okay, so that you generate out of, okay, this is what you get out of this, okay. Now if I move forward a bit, okay, so you have got this expression. If you put it in the expression of the maxima, you can replace it for secondary maxima. This is a replacement of that sine square n beta by sine square beta. With this expression, it depends on n square 1 plus n square minus 1 sine square beta. And the distribution is like this one. Okay, you can see where n's are the number of rulings. N is the number of rulings. As you can see, this is the central maxima. These are the first and second order principal, first, secondary. These are the secondary maxima that are coming. And in between, these are the minima that are coming. Okay. 0, 1, 2, like that. Okay. Against the order number. So this is the intensity distribution pattern that we notice. Now, one little more discussion about getting the condition of central maxima. D sin theta equal to n lambda is the condition that you have just seen here. So D is nothing but A plus B sin theta n lambda. Okay, where n is 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. And there will be n minus 2 secondary maxima and n minus 1 price minima will be there secondary. So it will be maxima will be there, okay, for a sin theta equal to 1, okay, that is theta in 90 degree. So if this equation becomes, if this is 1, a plus b equal to n lambda, okay. So a maxima is basically a plus b by lambda. So one of the conditions sometimes it has come in examination. So with this in mind, let us get back to the part of it. Okay, we did some actual calculation. This is the way it looks like. Okay, radiation comes in the variety of orders. 0th order means it has intensity central maxima, and on both sides we get the first order, second order, third order patterns. Okay, and that picture, whatever I've just shown you, that is coming out because of the multiplicity diffraction. This is the, I hope you can realize it a bit. This is the central maxima. Okay, for n equal to 0. And these are the other maxima. This is principal maxima 1. This is the other one. This is on the other side. And you can see if we go to the higher order, 2, like this. Okay. And in between N0 and N1 or N1 and N2, you can see these are the minimas are there. Minimas are there. That you can see it on the screen. So this is all about the studies of diffraction rating, and here will conclude our discussions on multiple diffraction. Thank you. Hope you have got the point. So I have kept some basic questionnaires for your understanding and getting everything clear. Some of the concepts very clean and clear. Some basic questions and problems are there. Please solve. We'll be jointly solving those problems. Okay. So I'll take one more class to solve this related problems. So thanks for the time.
You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me, we're meant to be